All right, guys. We are here today. Let me get the music started. Hold on. Today we have PCE inflation data. Yeah, so PCE expected, I believe it's expected at 1.3%. It might be a little bit lower. Let me see. All right, so yeah, PCE today is expected. Honestly, I got my Ethernet cord working. I went to freaking Radio Shack. They have a Radio Shack here. I went to Radio Shack. I got a 100-foot Ethernet cord, and it was just too long, I guess. But yeah, today we got the Case-Shiller, or no, yeah. Today we got Chicago PMI, consumer sentiment, PCE data, consumer spending. PCE data expected at 2.6% is what it's expected at. Let's see. Core PCE is expected at 2.6. There we go. And what's up, Ray? Rex, Adventures, Block, Sam, Michael, Freedom, Sid, Ro, Alyssa. What's up, team? All right, so you see the Q. Let me see whether we're actually gapping up or not. So yes, Q's gapping up again here. Tesla up to almost $200 a share, which is nice because I'm in Tesla. Nvidia. Nvidia 124s. Where can we watch the falling knife on Nike? Where's Nike at? Oh no. I'm in Nike, dude. You know, my average price is $89. I'll probably just add back to it though. But I'm down 130 bucks on Nike from earnings. Again, I'm gonna buy Nike up. They missed Q4 expectations to potential headwinds next year. Yeah, so I'm down in Nike, believe it or not. I mean, I'm still very green on this portfolio. Yeah, we're up thousands and thousands on the stock portfolio in the year. But we lost a couple $100 on Nike from earnings. It's how it goes. I'll probably not sell here though. What I'll probably do is add. It's Nike, you know. So our average price is 89.50s here. So what I'll probably do is just kind of average in a little bit more. I don't mind holding this one long term. And I think it's got a really cheap price as well. Gotta wait until after the close or after the opening bell though today. But yeah, man, Nike gapping down majorly. I hope I average into some shares. You know, really, I'm only down on Nike $138. I was already up on the day, and this is why it says P&L on the day is 208, because it was already up here at 98, which is very green at an $89 entry. But I think Nike will go higher. It'll just take some time. And I'm okay with letting it sit. So what do you mean by that, Sam? Do you mean ETH data transmission is digital, so the dispersion of amplitude of the digital bits is insignificant. 300 to 400 foot cable is able to limit without a network switch halfway along to regenerate. Isn't able, is what I'm assuming you meant. But yeah, I mean, we had 100. Here's the problem. So I bought a 100-foot Ethernet cord from Radio Shack. Yes, there's still Radio Shacks out there too. I bought it from Radio Shack. I drove like 30 minutes to go to a Radio Shack to get it because I'm out in the middle of freaking nowhere. And yeah, so I bought this thing from Radio Shack. And it didn't work. Yesterday I had to go to Best Buy. John, do you buy and sell your long-term account but never withdraw? Kind of. I mean, I sometimes withdraw. It depends on what's going on. Yeah, this account's got like 104, 105,000 in it, give or take. You know. Oh, 100 foot is fine. 400 foot's the limit. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Maybe it could have just been. I feel like I've used a 100-footer before with fine results. Could be some type of. It could be broken. Basically, maybe there's a reason people don't go to Radio Shack anymore. All right, so core PCE data drops right here at 8:30, and is expected at 2.6% year over year. Will we come in high or low? Yeah, we're also going to make this our poll. All right, so we're also going to make this our poll. Today we have. Let me know how the computer's running. Honestly, the Wi-Fi yesterday was honestly pretty solid. Like, it wasn't bad. All right. All right, so we got a poll. What's up, Melanie? I feel better today. I felt rough the last few days. Hit the like, yeah, y'all hit the like button. Yeah, well, the election was yesterday, you know, and again, I'm not going to be super. I'm not going to talk about it that much. I'm also not going to mention their names. But the side on the left, they're talking about getting a new candidate, and I think honestly, and again, I don't really care who wins, to be honest, but the current one on the left obviously is not going to be able to do it, you know. Yeah, it's just Nobody should want that. And I think even if you look at like CNN was saying the same thing, you know. So like, yeah, without getting too specific and too particular, I was curious how the elections would affect everything, you know. And I think one of them did better than a lot of people expected. But if you hold it to an objective scale, he forgot what he was saying a couple times. Like, it's just, you know, I feel for him, to be honest. He's getting up there. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyways, Nvidia at 125. Again, I'm really not a political person, guys. I'm not one of those people that argue about politics. I'm not one of those people who picks one side and roots for them. I try to stay objective. Like, I really do. You know, like, I don't trust both sides, to be completely honest, and I'm pretty even about it. So yeah. What's up, NDX? Expectation on PC. I'm not sure what PC is going to show up as. I'll make some guesses later on, but Nvidia up to almost 125s. How did it do yesterday? Okay, flat, sideways, neutral day. I'll probably attack chop today. Yeah, so I'll probably attack choppiness today. You know, and I don't think the other side sounded good either. You know, I think both sides sounded bad. The other guy, basically, he should have. Never mind. I don't think people like the arrogance as well. I think the arrogance of like, oh, I hear people say how great I am and I'm so smart. Like, I don't know if that necessarily helps either. You know, so. I really want PC to come in lower, but it's summer and people are traveling a lot, and I feel like PC is going to slowly rise for a bit. Maybe. I think if PC goes up, the rate cut pushers are going to be... I think it depends, man. I think we're getting pretty close to the September reading. Like, we're now in June, almost July. We got a couple months into the September reading where most people are expecting cuts, and I don't know if we should cut by September. And so I think today's inflation report is going to be incredibly important, because we need to see if we're going to cut rates anytime soon. I don't think we should. I don't think we need to. I think that we need to keep combating inflation, keep pushing those markets down a little bit, and you know, bringing inflation down as the number one priority. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. You're a pretty arrogant guy yourself. That's good. The thing that you believe in yourself. Yeah, I mean, if I had to rank myself in like a top 3 format, I would say I'm top 3 ever in the world right now, for sure. Definitely top 3, greatest of all time ever in the world. But you know, I try to stay humble. Top 3 most humble ever, also. I think extending the tax breaks is going to be a big deal in the election. Most people are looking at their financial situation and want to pay less taxes. Yeah, well, I think they want to. I think people are looking at their checks and they're mad because prices are so freaking high right now. I think that's what it is. I act arrogant to rile people up. I mean, that's kind of how I do it. I mean, anybody that hears my arrogance is mostly like, you'll know it's mostly sarcastic. You know, I troll the trolls with the arrogance, but like that's just because the only way to deal with them is to lean into it a little bit. You know, that's how you handle trolls. But outside of that, like, I do have. I'm a confident person in my skills and like what I can do and accomplish, but I also understand my weaknesses as well, and am kind of self-deprecating in that regard from it. Is all like, so I don't know. I think people that listen to the stream, if you can't read the sarcasm, you might think, whoa, well, this dude's one of the most arrogant people in the world, you know. But it's mostly sarcasm. Yeah. You like Disney? I'm in Disney. Where's Disney at? So I bought Disney a couple days ago. I'm kind of flat on it, neutral. I don't mind it. It's a little too early though to tell. Like I'm in it right now, small little position. I could add some more to it. You know, I'll go ahead and add 15. Wait, I can't. I gotta wait until the bell closes to add to it. I'm also gonna add more to Nike. Develop a side system, run for president outside the gov. I'm already in Nike. I'm down like 130, 140 bucks. I'm probably just going to add to it. My average price is in like the high 80s. It's like 89 or something. So after 7 a.m., I'm just going to add to it, see what happens. I think you're a genius. I mean, I'm not a genius. You know, I think I'm smart. Top 3 smartest guys ever, but I don't know about genius. I think I'm very good at certain things. I've got a very special certain set of skills, you know. Cheers to Liam Neeson. But if I'm being completely honest, right, my skill set is probably expression. I can express things that I'm trying to say very easily. Weakness has got to be stubborn. Like I'm stubborn, I would argue. I'm a very stubborn person. So like once I find something that works, I like sometimes it hurts evolution because I find something that works and I stick to it. I talked to my son about it, right? Like my son is freaking difficult sometimes. And what I always tell my son is like, look, dude, I remember being exactly like you were. Like for whatever reason, like I just had this deep stubbornness as a child. And my son has the same thing. And so I'm stubborn, but I think I can express myself well, you know? So it makes sense that I do content related stuff because I can express what I'm trying to say easily, I guess. But again, I do have weaknesses, of course, in other areas. Just depends. Top 3 worst ever in the world. Yeah, for sure. James Rodriguez. Yeah, I've heard the lookalikes. I've heard really good ones and really bad ones. I could kind of see it. James Rodriguez. He's in Psych. He's in Buddy Games also. He's in Rolling, Kansas. Yeah, I've heard I've heard a lot of different ones. I've heard Ryan Felipe, but that's only if I have the lights on. Like, it depends on how. I've heard Ryan Felipe, which is probably like what at the better end of the lookalikes. I've also heard Forrest Griffin. You know, I've heard the Irish Dragon, Paul Felder. For some reason, people always relate me to MMA fighters. I don't know why, but I'll take it. Yeah, stubbornness can be a gift if used accurately. 100%. Well, when I get like, okay, I guess I guess I can correlate it to ADHD, but I feel like sometimes people use that as a crutch and they just blame everything on ADHD. So I when I learn something new, if I'm into it, it's very hard for me to get discouraged. It's very hard for me to get discouraged if it's something new and it's something that I'm genuinely interested in. It's very hard for me to get discouraged when learning things. And so what this has done for me throughout my life is that it's made me able to learn things that like once I get interested in something, I can really build it up quickly because I get hyper focused on it. And so this helps if I'm really interested in something. Like if I need to learn something, if I can get myself motivated, of course, like I can hyper focus onto it, and I think I learn quickly. But everybody thinks they learn quickly. Nobody thinks they're dumb. You know what I mean? So who knows? I have done an IQ test. I've done a couple in my life. Latest one, it was like, I don't even want to say. I don't want it to seem braggy, but it wasn't low. My son did one recently too, but like I said, my weakness is like stubbornness. It can be good and bad. Yeah, just terrible choices. What are your thoughts on the presidential debate yesterday? PC's at 8:30. Yeah, I'm gonna add to Nike right now. You see, I'm down. All right, we'll take 55 shares. Average price of 82.90. So now our average price is down here. So it could be bad, could be worse. We'll see how it goes. It's down so much, I think it's probably an overreaction, at least a little bit. But who knows, man? Again, we'll let it work. Yeah, I've got a lot of different hobbies, and so I've seen somebody explain it before, but like, they say people with ADHD, like I've got a lot of hobbies that I've started that I haven't finished, uh, and so, again, it can be a bad thing too, because I'm not the best at following through with things. Like my attention goes from, I can usually kind of like manipulate myself in order to get hyper focused on something, like cause some type of motivation. Like in school, I would say, hey, if you learn this, you could build things you like in mathematics and other stuff. And so I'd learn math quickly and stuff. But what happens a lot of the time also is I start things and I don't follow through with learning the end of it. I start it, I learn enough to get by, and then I abandon it eventually, But it depends on how long it piques my interest. Jiu-jitsu was the latest one. Like I started training jiu-jitsu about a year ago, and yeah, but maybe that'll settle down too, and I'll get interested in something else. I got interested in watches. I started being into watches, guitar, software development, programming. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of other little small interests that I have, but yeah, I don't want to like. Yeah. Finish some hobbies. Yeah, we try. You follow Alex Grasso and Valentina Shlevinko? Yeah. Yeah, I watch them. Who's the current champ? Who beat who last? Is she the current flyweight champ? Who's the current champ? Okay, so Grasso is. Oh yeah, so okay, so I remember when Alexa caught Valentina. I believe it was with a rear naked choke, right? So she caught her with a rear naked choke, and I think Valentina went out from it. You got to tap to a RNC. You can't let it go on. You got to tap. Rear naked chokes, for those that don't understand jiu-jitsu, they are RNCs are like the base choke you learn in jiu-jitsu. The reason it's the base choke is because once you lock that thing in, as long as you have your hand positioned correctly, right? Like if you go like this, it's wrong, right? What the opponent can do is they can reach up, grab your hand, pull it down. You're supposed to go like this. You know, if you go like this, they're not getting out. You know, they can squirm, they can fight you. If you do like that, they're not getting out. And so I'm pretty sure Alexa caught Valentina in a RNC. I feel like I was like up against the cage, and I think if I remember correctly, Alexa was standing up. It was like a standing rear naked choke. And Valentina got stubborn and didn't tap and went out. And then the second fight was a draw, I believe. All right, so we did get a little bounce here. We're almost back up to 81 in Nikes. Tesla at 198s. Good morning, John. I added to my Nike also. I sold it when I was 94.70s in June. Look at my chops again. Stay blessed and thank you for getting the morning going. Hey, thanks, Thinker. Appreciate it, bro. PCE date is coming out soon, chat. I'll take any hits in the head, brain damage. Yeah, it depends on how much. I mean, it definitely can happen. You can get punch drunk in a couple of years. Like, if you look at Chuck Liddell, right? Chuck Liddell, shell of his former self, unfortunately. There's Nvidia pushing up. Nvidia at 125s right now. So here's 125s. So Nvidia trying to get up there, but it rebounded a little bit after. How was the investor call? Went as high as 126. Kind of a choppy day. I'm expecting today to be choppy as well. Where's the SPY? I will day trade this. All right, so we're high. I'm gonna short this here, in my actual account this time. There's 55 shares, 110 shares, 165. 220. We'll take 220 shares. I'm shorting this because today's an inflation day to day. And so I would assume we're going to pull back a little bit. And we're going to maintain kind of a neutral, choppy trend. Although Nvidia, it's a little bit of a risky trade because Nvidia is pushing higher and higher. Maybe cap. Well, look, and again, I'm trying not to get too political here. I'm really not. I did watch some of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. But I think I don't really like either one. But I think he certainly was he seemed more put together That's certainly true. Regardless of whether I agree with the policies or anything like that, which I don't agree with a lot of them, right? But he certainly seemed more put together. And I think again, one thing that happened was that, you know, I think people expected the other guy to be much worse than he was. I think he had an earpiece, realistically. But I think they expected him to be much worse than he was. And so when he came out okay, right? They act like he did great, but I think if you put it on an objective scale, you know, even CNN was saying some stuff too. So like, they have to put somebody else out. Like the left's gonna put somebody else out. I just don't think it makes any sense. I think everybody kind of sees, all right, like, you know, and I feel for him, man. I really do. I feel for him. As a neutral political person, I feel for him because, you know, I'm trying not to go in depth about. Black was the most successful. Yeah. All right, so again, we're shorting this top of the range on the SPY. I don't mind losing a little bit either here. Tesla just broke highs though. You know, it's an inflation day today though, so we just got to be careful. I'm looking to attack choppiness. The P&L for what? You see Tesla going to 250 to 300 in the next 6 to 12 months. It all depends, Aqua. What it really depends on. How's the audio today? I fixed the audio. At least I tried to fix it. Yeah, it all depends on one specific thing. The one specific thing it depends on is the robo-taxi event that happens next month, or that happens in about a month and a half. The robo-taxi event for Tesla is going to be incredibly important, and it's something that we want to watch. We want to pay attention to. It's just going to be very, very important. I'm not a fan of your ES short, I'm afraid, boss. The ES has what looks like a hidden buy wall at 55.60, which is where you entered. I could be wrong. Yeah, it's all good, brother. Again, the logic of this trade is, so it's a SPY short, but yeah, you're right. It's basically shorting the E-mini. But the logic of this trade, I wish I had Epic Pen, dude. I have it on my other computer. Epic Pen. Maybe I'll try to download it. Yeah, so the logic of this trade, I'll show you. It's pretty simple. Installing it now. Audio's fine. Good. But yeah, so the logic of this trade, guys. So sorry, I downloaded this pin so I can show you guys because I'm used to having a pin here. I'll put a 5-minute chart up. All right, hold on. I thought it said it was free. Okay. I'm confused now. I just want to use regular Epic Pen. There it goes. Okay, so yeah, the logic of this trade, and again, maybe I'm wrong here, is that today's number one inflation data day. So we have inflation data, we have PCE inflation data today. All right. Now, typically ahead of these days where we have inflation data, the market is very choppy, very neutral leading into the 8:30 release. And so with the SPY being really extended, you know, we opened up here yesterday in extended hours, and now we're way up here. This is actually not a huge trade. Like, I can cut it. I'll cut it before I lose 50, 60 bucks. I'm not going to lose 50 or $60 here on this trade. I'll cut it before I do that. But I can kind of play the probabilities of choppiness, of neutral action. Basically, I want to bet that the SPY is going to go like this leading into PCE data. You know, so since we're way up here at the top, and again, I don't want anybody to copy me. This is just my own style of trading. You know, this strategy really works better on days in which we have an economic release that's not at 8:30 in the morning, but instead is after the opening bell sometime. Like FOMC days are really my favorite to do this. FOMC days, this can just be really, really powerful on FOMC days. And so, yeah, that is why I'm doing this. That is why, yeah, that is why we're here. That is why we're doing this. And I think it makes sense. You know, I think it makes sense. You know, if we look at the history of PCE, here's a 5-year chart. PCE over the last 5 years has spiked. You know, 2020, they brought interest rates low, and they did this to combat inflation. No, I'm sorry. They did this to combat the potential recession effects of 2020 and the pandemic and everybody not working and non-spending as much. And so they stimulated spending. They brought interest rates down, and when they sent out stimulus checks as well. When they did this, inflation spiked. You know, so if we look at this inflation here, inflation spiked up to 5.5%. And prior to this, we're at 1.6, 1.7 in like July, August of 2019. And so we're still well elevated relative to that level here. So we're still way higher than we were. And so, yeah, it'll be an interesting thing to see what happens here. Here's a 10-year graph of PCE data. So ideally, we want to be back to here. We want to be back to 1.52%, which is kind of where their target is. But again, we're not anywhere near that. Currently, we are at 2.5%, a little bit underneath that. So again, we will see what the inflation data looks like. I know I'm on vacation. Yeah, Nike's price target was adjusted. The only hiccup in that plan might be the only hiccup in this plan is Tesla and Nvidia are both looking very strong right now. So here's Tesla. Tesla's breaking highs. Here's Nvidia. Nvidia's breaking highs. So these are the only things that can kind of throw a wrench in this technical trade, which is more of a technical trade. I'm looking to just kind of attack choppiness, if that makes sense. And so again, these two could throw a wrench in it because these are two very heavily weighted stocks. And more importantly, these two stocks move markets a lot. So it'll be all good either way. What do you guys think? But I do want to give it time to chop back down some. Nike will be 150 again. Yeah, I bought the dip in Nike just because like my average price was already in the 80s. All right, so yeah, so SPY's still up there. Nvidia up to over 125s right now, slightly over. There's 125s. Tesla again, kind of consolidating around these levels here. Yeah, for sure, Rudd. I might be wrong. Nike's one of those trades where it's going to be fine. Nike's going to be fine long term. It just depends on whether I can hold through the volatility. That's why I add to it. I don't mind buying 50, 60 shares up in max. Not going to add more shares than that, but I can fix my average. And I think the probability of a bounce is high as long as the market holds. Yeah, here, didn't you bring a, John, didn't you bring a mouse? I bought a hamster. You know. Dad joke. Yes, I brought a mouse. 1 minute cup and handle. I've made more money in the past 2 years following Tom Lee's bullish sentiment. Y'all should have followed my bullish sentiment, guys. You know, again, I was bullish when a lot of people weren't. And honestly, it's something that I'm proud about. Like, if I do have arrogance here, it's about being right for the last few years, and I've definitely been right. You know, I was telling people a year and a half ago that look at Tesla continue to break highs. Tesla's getting close to 200s. There's $200. I was telling people a year and a half ago when the market was incredibly weak and everybody was scared that the market didn't have to crash. When everybody else was telling you the market was going to crash, I was sitting here telling you that they were wrong for saying it so much. And in hindsight, I was absolutely right. We hit it spot on the head. I'm exactly right. And so that's something I'm very proud of because I think I helped a lot of people understand. You know, crashes are over predicted, and there's a deep stubbornness that happens with like short people, like predictors, and maybe they'll eventually be right. But yeah, I'm proud that I was correct and that I didn't just kind of follow everybody else. Because again, when a lot of people are predicting crashes, it's less likely that we actually crash. And so I'm proud that I didn't follow everybody else and that I came up to my own conclusion and I was correct about that conclusion, which was not what everybody else was saying. You are typing like the laptop? Well, yeah, I mean, I type on the laptop. Dutch Bros? Yeah, I've never seen one, so yeah, I don't know for sure about Dutch Bros. It's a company that I don't really know super well, so like, maybe they're good, maybe they're not. Yeah, you know, I was gonna buy myself a new laptop, but like this laptop works pretty good for like a 4-year-old laptop. Might be a little bit older than that. Let me see. This is a Lenovo Legion. This is a Y545. Yes, I'm pretty sure this computer came out 4 or 5 years ago. Still holding up really well. If I look at my specs here, I updated the memory of this. So I have got like almost 128 gigs of RAM or 130 gigs of RAM or something crazy. I added 2 memory sticks to this one years ago that I'm not even close to using. So that's nice. But yeah, this computer's still cutting it. Goes to show you don't have to buy a new freaking laptop every year. I get tempted to because I'm kind of a hardware nerd, but this thing can still run a stream really well. I don't think the market would crash due to inflation still happening. Plus, inflation is falling, which means a nicer Fed. Well, definitely a less restrictive Fed. I don't know. I cut my Walgreens trade yesterday. So I did sell my Walgreens position yesterday. The reason I sold is because I just, you know, listen, in investments, you're in theory supposed to never sell. Not the only time you're supposed to sell investments are when you lose faith that the company's going to be around, right? And that kind of happened with me with Walgreens. You know, I bought it really cheap about 6 months ago, I would say maybe a little bit longer, hoping that like the extension on the downside would cause a bounce back up and I could kind of capitalize on, weakness. But it's Walgreens, right? You would assume they're going to be around. I think the thing that I'm missing here for Walgreens is, number one, a lot of people are just getting their prescriptions mailed to them now. So a lot of people do not feel like driving up to the pharmacy to pick up their prescriptions. So a lot of people are just getting mailed prescriptions now, taking up a lot of space there. And so with that, Walgreens, I think they're always going to have business, but I think they're going to lose. I think their margins are going to get worse over time. They're going to lose market share over time to mail order prescriptions. I said I'll never invest in companies that compete with Amazon. I think it's a good move. I think it's a smart move. All right. Yeah, I'm waiting here. I don't know whether I should take a little piece of this off. The idea is to let this work, though. Walgreens has mail too. Sure. I know. I liked Walgreens originally, but when we start to really look at it here, it's just really weak. It's too weak. Like I can handle some stuff, but Walgreens was weak. Walgreens was weak last year when I bought it at 40 and 50. It's now down to $12 a share. I just think the likelihood of oh, we just added to a short. That's not what I meant to do. There we go. That's better. The likelihood that Walgreens goes bankrupt goes higher and higher the more it drops. But yeah, the short's not looking too bad. I mean, I'm not super profitable here, but I do think the short looks good. I think especially with Nvidia dropping here, yeah, I don't think it looks bad. We'll let the rest roll here, and now we're sitting on a little bit of profit, so that's nice. The Tesla halt. My Tesla position's kind of small. I've been scaling out over the last month. But no, the level 2's rolling with Tesla. Yeah, for sure, Joe. It seemed cheap a year ago when I bought it. Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, Walgreens, sometimes you go pick up a prescription and they're freaking mean. They act like they'll be like, hey, they'll be like, yo, your prescription will be ready in 30 minutes. And so you sit at the store waiting for them for 30 minutes so you don't drive home and then drive back to get it. And then when you roll up trying to pick it up, and you're like, hey guys, and it's been 30 minutes, they act like you're a leper. They act like, how dare you? It's like you can tell they just get stressed, but I don't know, man. Walgreens is kind of off too sometimes. Lower is good or higher. So lower is less inflation, which is better. It's always good. Low inflation is always good, regardless of whether the market fears economic growth or not. Less inflation is always good. So a lower PCE data is almost always good. It doesn't mean we're going to get a positive reaction because sometimes the market just is nonsensical. But, lower is typically good. Yeah, again, the system that I have with swing trading, and again, I'm green. I'm up thousands on the year with this system. Man, Meta just went crazy. But yeah, I'm up thousands on the year with this system. And that's great. The system is very simple. It's just realistically, it's just look for discounts and very healthy companies. So look for overreactions. A lot of the time it's from earnings, and a lot of the time I'm entering it around earnings season and I'm holding it, to the next earnings season. And then if it dips more, I can buy the dip or do whatever I want to do there. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the system involves just looking for discounts. And but sometimes those discounts, like I said, I bought Walgreens in the same fashion and it just didn't work. I had to sell it yesterday. I'm pretty sure I cut all of my Walgreens position. Yeah, I'm completely out of Walgreens, so I got out of it. It's just not worth it to hold, in my opinion. Like, there's some companies like Nike, you know, like Nike I can add to and be okay with adding to that. And like, even if I lose on this one, I can hold it long enough to where most of the time I'm going to be green eventually. But there's other companies where I just don't have faith in that same way with bounces. And again, Walgreens is one of them. Yeah, let me put a timer up. I forgot about the timer here. All right, I think we got just 1 hour. I think we got like 58.5 minutes. Yeah. I wish there was another clock here. What happened? Oh, yeah. Let's say. Yeah, I'm not home right now. Yeah, I try to buy strong companies as well, but I buy strong companies on like pullbacks and dips is kind of what I do. But everybody's different, you know. All right, guys, we got an hour until PCE data comes out. Very important release. I don't really have a prediction because I don't know what this data is going to show up as. I really don't. Like, I'm not sure what this data is going to do or what it's going to look like or what it's going to show up as. So, yeah. I wonder if I could put like a light bulb here. There we go. That's a little bit better. Time to buy Nvidia. I don't know if Nvidia is cheap enough. Nvidia is starting to move up though, and so is the SPY. So we're still green on it. But we got less risk now for sure. We already took profit. We're still slightly green. We're basically break even on the day. Now we're slightly red. But again, the whole point is to let this work, and we got an hour. And so I'm just going to let this sit. PCE data is the personal consumption expenditure. It's actually the Fed's preferred inflation metric. So it's the inflation data report that the Fed and everybody else watches. Very important release. Very important report. Incredibly relevant to the market right now. A lot of people are pushing for rate cuts. This report will show us whether we need to or not. PCE last time was... Hold on, let me find it. All right, so here's April's report. Here's last month's report. We showed up at 2.7%. The core one is the one we want, though. Let's see if we can find core. Pretty sure the last one was 2.6 or 2.8, actually, I think is what the last one was. Yeah, so here's core. All right, so the last one was 2.8. This time we're expecting 2.6. We've basically been at 2.9 and 2.8%. And again, this is actually kind of high. So like, if we look at the graphs here, you know, we're kind of high. Prior to the pandemic in 2020, we were at under 2%, you know, for a long time. You know, in the 2010s, we didn't break. So you can kind of see, like, if you want to know why inflation is a problem, even where we sit now is at the top of the range over the last 25 years, really. So we're kind of top where we were 25 years ago. You know, in the early 90s, late 90s, like, you see how high PC got in 1980? It got really bad. Inflation spiked, and then it settled down in 2000, 2010s, and now in 2020 it's spiking up again. So we'll see. Again, we'll see. Last time it showed up at 2.8%. So there's nothing about low. So better than expected is under 2.6%. 2.6 is what the expected number is. So it's basically expected by analysts to show up at 2.6%. Anything lower than that will be what's called a beat, like better than expected. Higher than that will be worse than expected. We're at 9% not long ago. Yeah, but Femi, you're referencing CPI. So PCE hasn't gotten over 5.5% in 20, 30 years. You know, so like if we get it a little bit deeper here. So again, right now, here's where PCE was peaking. When CPI was at 9%, PCE was at 5.5%, which is very high. You got to understand, core PCE is one of the most, like, it's the most realistic inflation data according to the Fed. And so, yeah, it's been high, and it's still very high. Like, again, we're here. Let me get my little tool out. We are here. Let me do a better drawing. You know, we are here. And so we're at the top of the range that we've been in 30, 40 years. 35 years. So we're right around where the highest we've been in 35 years is what this graph shows us. And so it's an important day for sure. And so the point is, this is why inflation should be the number one priority. Oh, that's a backwards. That's why inflation should be the number one priority. PCE data needs to come down. CPI needs to come down. You know, these two things, PCE and CPI, are the most important metrics we should focus on. And that means no rate cuts. I don't think we should cut rates at all. I think we should keep rates high for as long as possible, because the longer rates stay high, the more this data comes down. And I think we need to just really target that first more than anything else and make sure that data really drops. History typically doesn't repeat exactly the same way when it comes to awful. Yeah. Well, the labor market's been pretty strong. You know, the labor market's been strong. That's kind of one of the things to look at is, like, you know, you hear people get wrapped up in it, but a strong labor market's not always great. You know, it can be bad. So with the labor market being as strong, I just think we need to focus on inflation. I know I'm a broken record with this, but I really do think we should. Yeah, Red Lobster going out of business. I just think we should get inflation under control. You know, again, the real reason people are unhappy is because of inflation. You know, the only people really pushing for us to cut rates are people who don't care about what happens to the stock market. They don't really care about what happens economics wise. They mostly just want to bring interest rates down to benefit their life and their jobs and their work, right? They want to bring interest rates down so that they can have better deals in real estate and mortgages and you know, stuff like that, and lending and banking. But the problem is that, you know, The problem is that the lower interest rates are, the more inflation gets worse, and we've already had really bad inflation. We just got to make sure to make that the priority one, I think, right now. Have you made friends with Pal? Dude, he's my top 3 greatest friend of all time, bro. Tesla up to almost $200 here. I'm unhappy seeing people lose their jobs. Yeah, but the labor market's still strong. Unemployment's under 4% right now. So like that's what I'm saying. If high rates were causing like a recession like scenario or a depression like scenario, then it's more understandable. And to be fair, you don't really want to wait until we get into that, right? Like you want to be predictive about it and cut rates before we get to that. And I do understand that nuance of it. I really do. But I think the labor market has been incredibly strong. People are working a lot. People are spending. And if we don't target inflation and make that the priority over lending, which is what it really is, right? Like lenders want us to bring rates down. Real estate agents want us to bring rates down. People involved in home building want to bring interest rates down. People involved in construction want to bring interest rates down, right? People that run and operate businesses around those sectors in which they're directly influenced by interest rates, of course, they want us to bring rates down. But the problem is that it makes absolutely no sense to do that right now. When you look at the average of what rates are not crazy high. And sometimes, like, again, I've known some people where I talk like this and they get really emotional about it. Like people directly involved in mortgages. I've known a couple that if I say this, they just get upset because it's not music to their ears. Like they don't want to, like they want rates to go down so that they can do more business, and they don't care if it breaks the economy in terms of inflation breaking the economy, not a recession. And again, I have no other reason for wanting rates to go down. Like honestly, I'm a real estate agent myself, right? So in theory, I should want rates to go down as well. But again, I don't do that much real estate business. I don't care enough about it in that situation. It's not always a good time to buy a home, and that's necessary. So you hear some people say, "Oh, well, low income people can't buy homes right now." Even if that's true, sometimes it's not the time to buy a house. And them buying a house right now is going to get them in more trouble than it should. And so they need to wait and be patient as well. Your analysis on inflation is equally self-serving. In what regard, Femi? Again, I'm a real estate agent. In theory, I should want rates to go down, right? I've seen how much inflation has broken this economy and people over the last 5 years. Honestly, to be completely honest, I'm in a pretty high income bracket. The inflation doesn't affect me that much, to be completely real with you all, right? Like it really doesn't. I make enough money to where I don't have to worry about it. But I'm talking about in terms of like I've heard people come to me heavily over the last 5 years, and they're talking about how bad things are, and most of the time the reason things are bad in their mind is prices are too high. Prices are too high, and it's not a good situation. Inflation doesn't go back down, and so we can't handle it spiking up more. If y'all think y'all are unhappy now from prices, if inflation spikes up another 10%, people are really going to be unhappy. They're going to really be upset. And I say this every day because it's important for people to hear. We can't rush to cut rates. If the economy showed signs of weakness, and what do I mean by that? Like multiple months in a row of weak economic data that showed a struggling economy, that's different, right? But that's not what we're seeing. Yesterday we had jobless claims come out lower than expected. We had what else? We had GDP came out higher than expected yesterday, and so we're not seeing those signs of a broken economy, which would then cause us to maybe consider cutting rates a little bit earlier or whatever it is. We're just not seeing those signs. If anything, the economy looks resilient. The labor market looks strong. Again, I might be wrong. I certainly could be. And so I don't want to seem too obnoxious about it because I certainly could be wrong. I just think it's way too early to cut rates. No, for sure. It's a great time to buy properties. If you pay cash, it's different. If you pay cash, it's not a bad time to buy, realistically, but dude, you only temporarily kept me from chatting. Why am I still locked out? You're not locked out, John. The reason I banned you for a day is because you were basically spamming things. Like, I don't know if you were using AI to auto comment or something like that, but yeah, if you do that here, you're gonna get banned really quick. Like, you were commenting stuff that was not like, that didn't make any sense, and that wasn't actually like, you weren't even typing sentences. You were typing like characteristics of the subjects we were talking about or something. I don't even know what you were typing. No, 100% Melody. That's exactly my point. Is that, like, look, I make enough money to where inflation's not a problem for me, right? But I still want inflation to go down, and I think inflation should be our number one priority. I think I'm again, what everybody has to understand is that once inflation starts to roll and get worse, right? It gets worse fast. Okay? So like once it starts to snowball, it gets big fast. It gets worse really, really quickly. And so we need to make sure it doesn't snowball again, right? This is not the first time it would if it snowballs again, it wouldn't be the first time in the last 5 years. It's already snowballed, and that's why everybody's so unhappy, is because prices have gone up a ridiculous amount in a lot of areas. And again, prices don't go down after they go up. It's not like prices go up and we can get them to go back down easy. Most of the time, the only way to get prices to go back down is for us to hit a recession or depression, right? And even then, they don't go down that much. They don't go down back to where they were. And so with that in mind, we need to just be as restrictive as we can to keep that inflation from rising and let it stabilize first. If we saw genuinely weak signs, like really bad GDP, in the last GDP report, even though it was a revision, came in higher than expected, then we can pivot to cut rates, and that's fine, but again, the reason I want inflation to go down is because I really think that's going to help the everyday person much more than just kind of bringing interest rates down just to kind of give banking more money. Like, banks will be all right for now. Mortgage brokers will be all right for now. Real estate agents will be all right for now. Their business shouldn't be hurting that much. And if their whole business is propped up on only the good years, then they're not sustainable anyway. They need to be able to be okay for a few years and let prices stabilize first before we start bringing interest rates back down to stimulate spending. It's just unnecessary. What economic factors would make you lower rates if you were Powell? I would say spikes in unemployment, like high spikes in unemployment, massive dips in GDP data, GDP growth under 1%, GDP growth under 1%, unemployment spiking over 5% is probably when I would start cutting aggressively, for a small period of time, maybe 2 meetings in a row or so, 2 6 weeks periods in a row, start cutting the federal funds rate, short-term rates. I think that makes enough sense, and that'll give it enough time there's a lag there. So you cut rates and there's a lag, but that would give it enough time to hit the rest of it. Because when you cut rates, right, what we're actually talking about, guys, for those that don't understand, is cutting the federal funds rate. That's short-term interest rates. And when you cut short-term interest rates, eventually it trickles into long-term rates, right? But there's a lag. And so, yeah. 1.4 versus 1.3% gap is not some sign of it being much higher than expected. Right, but I'm not just looking at GDP. I'm looking at unemployment as well. I'm looking at payrolls. They're all very high. Unemployment's low, payrolls are high. GDP is still positive. I just, again, I don't know, man. I don't want to be a broken record too much. So it's all good. I understand both sides, and I could certainly be wrong. Yeah, the yield curve inversion. Well, yeah, the yield curve inversion is interesting. I mean, if you don't know what that is, chat, yield curve inversion is basically when short-term bonds pay out more than long-term bonds, which is the opposite. Short-term bonds, in theory, should pay out less than long-term bonds. When that yield curve inverts, it usually can be a sign of economic turmoil. But it's been inverted for years now, to be completely honest. So we'll see. Look, guys, okay. The other argument for keeping interest rates high is that the real estate market has been hyperextended. In 2020, 2021, the huge bull run happened in real estate. A lot of real estate prices freaking doubled. You also saw it with auto financing. Why? Because interest rates were low at 2020 plus. And so they brought interest rates down. People started buying. Real estate had a big bull run. And cars were ridiculously expensive. People were selling used cars for freaking 50, 60, 70% more than they paid for it. And so I don't think it's bad to keep interest rates high and try to discourage those markets down a little bit. I think that needs to happen. And it needs to happen for an extended period of time to bring us back down to earth some. And of course, lenders don't want that. People involved in the sale of those things don't want that, because it's a lot easier to sell cars or sell homes or sell mortgages whenever rates are low. Right. And which is where a lot of the pressure comes from, like cut rates. But like, we've already seen prices rise. I think it's okay to keep interest rates high and really push those down a little bit. I think it's necessary to happen. Like bull runs are great in those markets, but they're not sustainable forever. And acting like they are just to benefit business is not necessary. I think we have to look at it honestly. Do you have a better internet connection? Yeah, I got my wired Ethernet connection to work. No, I'm still in MU. But again, that's a longer term trade. I'm basically flat on it. I'm green on the day, like down less than $10 total on MU. So I'm basically neutral on it right now. I'm basically flat. I'm wondering how much longer the SPY is going to melt up. We're starting to broaden out. Yeah, the AI bull run is real. I don't know how long it's going to last either. Yeah, I mean, so now a tiny. Yesterday we certainly did not have a 15-minute delay, brother. So I think what happens, guys, is that people get behind on the stream. So if you pause the stream or you have latency stuff, and it's on y'all's end most of the time, I can see how mine's working, and mine's working great right now. But sometimes if you pause the stream, you have to remember you always have to hit the live button. So you have to hit the live button next to the play button to catch back up on the stream. If you don't, it's going to be delayed, right? Like you're going to be way behind if you don't hit that live button to catch back up with the stream. You got to hit the live button next to your play button to make sure. You can also a hack for that as well, if you really want to always be in real time with me on stream, is to put it in fast forward mode. Put it in 2x speed or 1.5x speed, and it'll typically keep up with the stream and you'll have no delay in your stream. But yeah, on YouTube, we might have like a 3-second delay, which everybody has. Nobody's completely real time. Everybody's going to have a 2 to 3 second delay, which is what we have here. It's certainly not 15 minutes, brother. And if yours is 15 minutes, you probably just need to press the live button. stocks for sure for me, Z. It's hard to stop a snowball rolling down the hill. Yeah. Yeah, Melody. A realtor's license is actually pretty simple to get, at least here in Texas. Like, I remember, and again, this goes back to, I have like a deep stubbornness. Like, once I get interested in something, I can hyper focus on it. I got my real estate license in about 2 weeks. By the time I decided I wanted my real estate license to the time where I actually had an inactive real estate license, passed the test and everything, was 2 weeks, right? So I went and took my course online, studied, passed the tests, took all the necessary content, passed the tests, scheduled my real estate licensing exam, went and took it and passed it, and got my license within a couple weeks. Now, I don't actually use it very much, to be fair, but I do have it. Yeah, historically, election years are very strong. That guy will know more in 15 minutes. Yeah, if the live button doesn't have a red dot next to it, it's not live. Yeah, exactly, Sam. I'm curious about what John says, too. Yeah, because to be honest, John, I thought it was a bot. That's why you got banned, is because I thought it was a bot. Yeah, I'll hear that in 15 minutes. Hopefully it's before PCE comes out. Yeah. If PCE is higher than 2.6, will market pump or will it dump? It'll probably drop some, but again, it's so anything. Here's the way you have to look at it, right? And this is why, like, everybody always asks me what I think is going to happen. I really genuinely have no idea. Genuinely have no idea what's going to happen, if the data is going to come in good, bad, higher, lower. No idea, right? More importantly than that is nobody knows how the market will react to this data, and so especially if it's a little bit more neutral. So if the expectation is 2.6 and it shows up at 2.7 or 2.5%, right, 0.1% higher or lower than expected, then you really don't know how the market's going to respond, because most people are going to consider that over, like, mostly neutral, mostly flat, mostly neutral readings. The time where you get more predictable and easy to see reactions is when the disparity between what the expectation is and what the actual number shows up as is much higher, right? So if it's expected at 2.6 and it shows up at 3, market's probably about to fall. If it's expected at 2.6 and it shows up at 2.2, market's probably going to run a little bit. But that's the way you have to look at it. Would this be good for a long-term option call on Chipotle? This really isn't related to that. I mean, people spending, typically, it depends. I don't know how Chipotle moves. I know they recently did a split, but outside of that, I don't really know how they move. I know a lot of blue chip stocks follow the market in that regard. So like Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, Walmart, they're probably going to do what the market does from PCE data. So if the market reacts positively, those stocks are going to go up most likely, and vice versa. Chipotle is not really, I don't know if I'd consider it a blue chip stock. I guess I would, but I don't know if it's going to follow the market in that way. It's also, at least it was a very low float stock, but I think they did a split, a 50-to-1 split. Yeah, this was necessary for Chipotle. So they did a 50-to-1 split. The problem with Chipotle for me is it's way too high, way too strong. This thing is up 75% on the year. It was at about $40 at the start of the year. It got all the way up to $70. So even at 60, it's up 75%. Or it's up 60, yeah, it's up 66 repeating percent from 40 to 60. No, I'm sorry. It's up 50%, 50%. 20 is 50% of 40, and so from 40 to 60 would be a 50% gain. Sorry, my math was off originally. But yeah, Chipotle up 50% on the year. It's too high for me to want to buy it. It's just too extended on the upside. Maybe if it pulls down a little bit more. I know it dipped over the last couple weeks, but I need a larger dip to be interested in that one. We also bought Nike earlier, and Nike's mostly flat. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if it was yesterday from John. Maybe it was, but yeah. What's up, Beach Bum? Right, for sure, Aqua. Well, most people, to be honest, Aqua says people are inherently dumb if they can't figure out that paying for a cup of $8 Starbucks on a credit card at 28% is bad. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Most people live above their means, right? And again, it has to do with the culture of young people, right? Culture of young people. Listen, when you're young, and I remember being this way, everybody wants to act like you're rich, right? Everybody wants to act like they're rich when they're young. There's a very famous quote: "Don't try to look rich, be rich," right? And so basically, stop worrying so much about looking rich and try to actually be rich. Because if you focus too much on looking rich, you're not gonna be rich, you know. And so it's a little ironic. But stop trying to look rich, be rich is a very famous quote, and it's absolutely true. Most people live way above their means. They're financing brand new cars at 20. Nobody should buy a brand new car at 20. You know, especially, it depends on how much money you have. If you have kind of FU money, completely different thing, right? If you've got FU money where you make enough money where it just doesn't freaking matter, that's different. But that's not everybody here's situation, of course. And that's not everybody who ends up financing with high interest a brand new car at 20 years old. That car is going to depreciate 40% driving it off the lot. And so you can buy a very nice used car for 10 to 20K right now, 10 to 20K. But young people don't want that. Everybody wants to look rich, right? Everybody wants to finance brand new cars. And by the time they're done paying them off, those cars are worth very like 10% of what they were. And so locking yourself into long-term debt to buy a brand new car. People just live above their means, man. They do it with homes as well. They live above their means with homes. They have one good year and they all of a sudden just live in these huge, ridiculous houses. I just think you got to live within your means. But again, that's up to a point. If you got FU money, you know, you got FU money. You can do whatever you want. And what I say doesn't matter to you. Yeah, I don't really like Polestar as a company either. I like the cars. The cars are cool, but I don't like them enough. It's a spending problem. 100% there is. What was the cost to get a real estate license? I remember the coursework and everything like that. I used a Champions Real Estate online. It was about $100. No, I'm sorry. I wish it was $100. Man, inflation's gotten really bad. No, it was about $1,000 at the time. Now this was almost a decade ago, right? So it was about $1,000 at the time. So at the time, it was $1,000 to take the coursework, like to get the coursework, the books, the online resources. I used Champions Real Estate, and so once I finished the required work, I had to pass the real estate licensing exam. I think that was free. It might have costed something to go take the exam. I can't remember. It's been so long. But I do know that once you sign up with your brokerage, you usually have to pay for like. So you sign up with a broker. If you go to a big boy broker, like I went to Keller Williams, it's more expensive. You're gonna have to spend like $400 on the resources to be a Keller Williams real estate agent. I remember is what I had to do. And again, since joining other brokers, it's not the same. So some brokers let you get started and it doesn't cost anything. But anywhere, I would say it's 10 years ago is about $1,000 to $1,500 to do everything. Nowadays, I would probably guess it's closer to $2,000, but. Thoughts on Walmart? I'm in Walmart right now. I got a little piece of Walmart left though, but I'm in it right now. Walmart's all right. It's just, it's like most things today, it's around lifetime highs, right? So if, actually, let me see. I don't know if it's lifetime highs. Yeah, so Walmart's good. The problem, like most things, they're around lifetime highs, right? And so I just don't trust it that much because it's close to lifetime highs, you know? I usually don't like buying stuff around that. I usually wait for dips and pullbacks and stuff. Yeah, plus business cards, signs, marketing material. Listen, being a real estate agent's freaking tough, bro. It's not easy to do. I'm like, look, I can sell things to people, but I don't like a forced sales approach, right? I'm not one of those people who likes to really be aggressive. And I think salesmen have to be aggressive to a certain extent. You know, so like I remember I got a job a long time ago when I was young, right? When I was a teenager, I got a job handing out coupons at pet stores. Right, dude, I freaking hated that job. Right, I freaking hated that job. Most people are nice. You give them a coupon, they say, "Hey, thanks." Some people are just freaking mean and rude, and they like don't even acknowledge your presence. You're like, "Hey guys, like you obviously work for the store, right? You're trying to give people coupons, and they don't even acknowledge your presence. You say, "Hey, would you like this coupon?" They just don't even look at you and say anything to you and just ignore you. You know, so I do not like that at all. I don't like pressure sales. So if I sell something to somebody, it's usually very pressure free. Also on Rivian, I don't know, man. I think a lot of these up and coming EV brands are going to struggle. Rivian is one of the better positioned ones, but I wouldn't say it's great positioned here. You know, so Rivian's one of the better positioned ones. It's bounced a lot since $8, but this year it's basically flat. It is starting to see a resurgence, and it has some big backers. And so I would say anything outside of Tesla is in trouble, except for legacy brands like in-house big automobile companies like Toyota, Honda, Dodge, you know, stuff like that. Like they're gonna be fine for EVs, but the up and coming EV brands like Mullen or like Polestar, where's Mullen even at? Mullen, Polestar. You know, a lot of these brands are going to fail and a lot of them are going to just go out of business. But Tesla's fine, of course. The question is hydrogen. You know, hydrogen vehicles are getting big. The other one is Rivian. So maybe Rivian does well. I think it's better positioned than a lot of the other up and coming brands, but I still think it's vulnerable for the industry as a whole. So, you know, the problem is that most of these companies like Lucid, Rivian, they just don't have the customer base that they need of people that actually want to buy their vehicles. I think Lucid is one of the best examples, and you can kind of see the long-term chart here with Lucid. They just don't have the customer base necessary, I think, to compete in these areas. They just don't. Tesla getting a little bit of a bounce, though. Yeah, I think is it Volvo or Volkswagen? It's one of those. Yeah, I don't like any of that stuff. All right, guys, we got 20 plus minutes or around 20 minutes now left. I'm in the US. Hey, Judd, do you live in the US or Canada? I'm asking because how are the two Swiss healthcare companies, ROG or NOVN, based on the attractiveness because it's on the Swiss stock market? Thanks. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I usually avoid biotech companies as well. And healthcare companies as a whole, just because like they're really speculative. Biotech specifically, they're really speculative, and like trial results and all that stuff can get super nuanced, and you can find some edge, but you need to do a lot of research, and I don't have the time for that. So I don't know. I'm not really a big investor in those companies. Yeah, but I actually see some Rivians in my area though. So I actually see people driving Rivians though. So Rivian is at least producing cars. Some people at the very least want to buy those cars. And I think that's better than a lot of the other EV companies, where a lot of the other ones nobody wants to buy them. They're really not producing anything, and they're in trouble, right? And I think that's like Lucid and Mullen. Nobody really wants to buy those cars, and understandably so. Has anybody seen National Lampoon's Vacation, like the original one with Chevy Chase back in the late '70s, I think, early '80s, maybe? You know, he trades his car in, and he gets this foreign car that nobody's ever heard of, and it basically just breaks down and there's no support for it. Nobody wants to be that guy, and buying a very new company EV brand might make you that guy. Yeah. Yeah, I see a couple Rivians driving around my area as well. Yeah. All right, so we're in this SPY trade. I'm definitely going to sell this position. Oh my gosh, I keep adding more accidentally and then cutting it. I meant to do this. But yeah, I'm going to have to sell prior to this. Yeah, Fisker. Right, exactly. And that's the risk, Andre, because a lot of these brands are going out of business, man. I think that's a very obvious thing. Like a lot of these brands are going out of business. Focusing on Amazon today for sure. Amazon, yeah, Nike's down a lot. Yeah, we're bouncing up here too. We're basically flat on this position here, which is fine. You know, could have been better, could have been worse. Nvidia's spiking up a little bit. I'm gonna get out completely break even on this trade. Could have been better, but it's all good. Part of it. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes before PCE data drops. Give me your last minute predictions out in chat. Yeah, I see the 2.9%, 2.3%, 2.2%. Yeah, so I actually made a little bit of money on the SPY trade. It's been choppy in neutral leading into it. I could short up here. And maybe that's a good move here. We'll try it. We're at the top of the range. We'll play with it and see what happens. Higher 2.6, 2.5. Hims higher pre-market right now. Yeah, didn't Hims have that short report that dropped? Yeah, so Hims dropped on the short report and then bounced back up, which is kind of what you see a lot with these. You said you broke even? I did. So whenever I got out, I was up $1.20 on the day. So basically, I made $1.20. It's basically breaking even. Now I'm down $10 because I just re-entered at the top of the range here. But again, I don't mind losing a couple bucks. You know, like I'm just looking to bet on this range right here, and we got 15 minutes to let it play out. And if I'm wrong and I lose 20 bucks, it's all good. It's not the end of the world. Chewy on the radar too. I think I'm still in Chewy. Let me see. Yeah, I'm still in Chewy. I'm really nicely green on it too for a very small position. All right, guys, we got 13 minutes. Got out of my Chewy call too early. Yeah, with my Chewy position, like I've been holding it for months, and I originally bought it. Let me see what my average is for Chewy. My average for Chewy is 1690s. It's at 30 basically, so we're up almost 100% on the trade in terms of price. All right, so we broke highs. I'm probably gonna cut this. This is what Nvidia is gonna do. We're down 20 something dollars, so it could have been a lot worse. You know, my average price is right here. So I think okay, now it's completely retraced closer to flat. All right, so we got out a piece of it. We're just gonna get out there. We lost 40 bucks. Again, it could not a little bit less than that actually. It could have been worse. I just don't feel like risking it. Markets rip it up higher. Maybe that means something for the inflation data. Yeah, I like Toss. Toss is my favorite. All right, guys, we got 11 minutes. We got about 900 people here live. Yeah, PCE lower would be good if it comes in lower, right? Yeah, look at Tesla rip up. Tesla up to almost $200 here. Now, sometimes we get up to this $200 level, and it's kind of like a magnet. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to try to rub it in, BB. Like, of course, it's easier in hindsight to talk about how everything was long or whatever, but come on now, bro. We want lower PCE, but not too low. I think really low PCE would be a really optimistic sign, and it would signal more rate cuts. Is it Bowman speaking before the release? I don't know. Will it be bullish after PCE? It really depends on what the data shows up at. If the data shows up at much higher levels, it'll probably tank the market. It depends on the discrepancy between the expected and the actual. Again, it's expected at 2.6. And so if we show up at or below 2.6, then the market will probably go up more. If we show up higher than 2.6, the market will probably go down. But it's never for sure, and we can only speculate on what the numbers might do or might not do, especially ahead of PCE data like this. What happens if the data is high? It depends on how high. If it's much higher, market's going to drop almost certainly. All right, look, Tesla just went right up to $200 here, and we're in Tesla. We're green on Tesla. Nvidia up to 125s. Tesla just tapped. Remember when if you guys listen to my technical trades, I always say the same thing. Sometimes stocks go right up to big milestone whole dollar levels. They tap it and then they come right back down. So everybody gets excited and starts to buy it up here, and then they come right back down. We'll see if Tesla does that. It just tapped 199.99, and so got right up there. Again, maybe it breaks, maybe it doesn't. Let's see what happens. Yes. Or no, you can't hedge like that far, I'm pretty sure. They might let you do it on an eval account, but not on a PA account. But they might let you do it on the testing account. I'm not 100% sure. All right, look at Nvidia and Tesla spike. What do you think about Nike? I think it's an overreaction. Yeah, I mean, I bought a little bit of Nike, but who knows? We'll give it some time, though. There's Nike there. Could be worse. Nvidia up to 125.30s. I'm going to put the Q back up here. Here's the NASDAQ. Olympics coming should give Nike a boost. Yeah, for sure. You'll be able to watch PCE data right here. All right, guys, we got 7 minutes, chat. 7 minutes. Look at Nvidia start to run. Look at Nike. There goes Nike. Ripped over 200. Got up to 200.3. Look at everything run. Glad I sold that short position because the market just ripped. Again, the reason market ripped is because Nvidia and Tesla both broke highs. So here's Nvidia. Here's Tesla. They both broke highs of the day. Tesla got over 200 for the first time in a long time. Nvidia up to 125.30s. That's dragging the NASDAQ, the S&P up as well with us. Hey, thank you. I'm him. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. All right, guys. I am using TOS, Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade. Six minutes. Yeah, I'm in Tesla. Tesla looks good. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes, really. Yeah, Tesla looks really good. My average price on Tesla is 177, and this is after adding back to it a couple weeks ago. Apple's all the way up to 215 as well. So very strong heading into inflation data, which kind of makes me nervous. I'm going to go with PCE data showing up. Again, I'm going to just make a straight up guess here. I'm going to go with PCE data showing up. I'm going to go with I think it's either going to be 2.6% as expected for core PCE year over year, or 2.7%. I'm going to go with a little bit higher than expected. Is my guess here. That's just my straight up guess. All right, a little bit higher than expected is what I'm assuming. And again, I might certainly be wrong. I hope I'm not, but I definitely could be wrong. Slightly higher than expected is my guess here. Yeah, please stop spamming Moolah. He's only been saying the same thing. Same person. All right, guys. Yeah, honestly, guys, any crypto that goes around spamming other people's stream is not a reliable crypto. It's kind of like you see people sending bots and like spam comments to people's comment section on their videos. Any crypto that's doing that has to be desperate, because it's going to rub a lot of people like me the wrong way. And it's just not something that we appreciate. We don't appreciate spamming our boards trying to pump things up. It's just, if you're like, that's the worst thing to do. And I would immediately not trust any crypto that behaves in that way. You can see the live data release right here. All right, guys, we got 3 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what inflation data looks like. I certainly could be wrong. All right, guys, 2.5 minutes. Yeah, sorry, guys. PCE data today. Again, it's expected at 0.1% on the month, 2.6% on the year. 0.1% on the month, 2.6% on the year. Again, I'm going to go with 0.2% core PCE today, month over month. We also have Chicago PMI a little bit later, and Canadian GDP dropping at the same time. So, let's see what we get here, guys. We're ready. We're waiting. Remember to hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. We got 2 minutes left until the data release. Hey, thanks, Kurt. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you, sir. Yeah, they'll be like, you haven't heard of Moo Crypto as well? What about Moo Crypto? I love it. It's the greatest thing ever. They're just talking to themselves, spamming cryptocurrencies, hoping that somebody gets talked into buying it. And it's usually any company that's do that, it's got to be not a good company. Straight up. Moolah. Yeah. Oh, have you heard of Moolah? I have too. Wow, it's the greatest crypto of all time. Moolah? Wow, you like it too? Like, come on now, man. It's too transparent. Hey, here we go, guys. 50 seconds. 50 seconds. We got almost 2,000 people here live watching. They want that referral bonus, bro. I love referral bonuses, dude. I live off of referral bonuses, but like, there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it, you know? If I tell somebody that, like, I always tell people I'm sponsored, you know, but again, I'm different than everybody else. All right, guys. Here we go. All right, here we go. Here's the report, guys, right now. This timer's a little bit early, okay? It's dropping right now. All right, and there we go. It's out. Look at the Q spike. Waiting for it, guys, waiting for it. Waiting for it. The market hasn't really moved, so they haven't updated it yet for PCE data. It hasn't moved yet. There we go. So PCE is out. It came in at 0.1% versus 0.1% expected, 2.6% versus 2.6% expected. All right, so it came in neutral. Came in neutral. So I was right again. You know, if you guys, I was kind of right. I got it halfway right. I told people I thought that core year-over-year inflation would come in at 2.6 or 2.7%. It showed up at 2.6% today, completely flat versus the expectational number. 0.1% on the month, 2.6% on the year. Those are as expected numbers, flat numbers. They weren't higher, they weren't lower, they were as expected. Canadian GDP also showed up as expected for April. And so, yeah, we basically showed up flat here today, chat. Neutral, no high report, no low report, a completely flat neutral report here. We'll put this up on screen. 0.1% on the month, 2.6% on the year. And yeah, we kind of got it right. We told people we thought it would either show up at that or 0.1% higher. So it looks like we showed up at that. Month over month, it came in at 0.1% versus 0.1%. There's the report right there. And again, let's watch the market reaction here. Market's dipping down some here. Oh my gosh, did I okay. Wait. Did I get out of my SPY trade? Yes, I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Okay, yeah, I did. Good. All right, so again, completely neutral inflation data here. Nothing was worse than expected, really. Completely flat, completely neutral. And now the market's down a little bit from this pump. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Let me know what you guys think. Also, guys, if you haven't already, check out my sponsor, Apex. If you want to day trade, do not. You saw me day trading the SPY today. If you want to do that with a much smaller account, I've got over 100,000 in this account. I can buy 300 shares of the SPY if I want to, and it's not going to affect me. You're not going to be able to do that with a small account. If you want to do this with a small account, there's no PDT in futures. You can day trade short in futures, and there's no PDT rule. This is my first sponsored plug of the day. So if you support the channel, stick around. What Apex does is allow you to get started for a much smaller amount. They give you a demo, and they test your skill with the demo account first. If you pass the test with the demo, they fund you with the regular account, and the base one is 25K. So they give you a 25K demo. If you can make 1,500 in profit without losing 1,500 first and following their rules, they fund you 25K with a 90% split. And so the 90% split is similar to putting the money up yourself, but if you lose this, it's only $40 a month. So your risk is way less. But the reward's a 90% split once you're funded anyway, as long as you can follow their rules. It also comes with real-time data, which is if you pay for a paper account with real-time data, it's going to cost about the same. And in the futures market, there's no PDT rule. You can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, what the SPY and Q track, same price action, no PDT rule. A great way to learn. Patterns are very similar to blue chip stocks like Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, so forth and so on. And a lot of times they follow those stocks as well because it's the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ index funds. And so it's a great way to learn how to trade. And Apex is one of the most legit in the world. For the current time as well, you can also get the $150, $250, and $300,000 challenges where you get $150K, $250K, and $300K in funding for the same price at like $40, $35 to $40. So, you know, very, very cheap for the time being. You have to use my coupon code, which is BT for beginner trading. BT, 2 letters, BT. Apex is one of the most legit in the world. They've paid out over $200 million in customer compensation since 2022. They've paid out hundreds of millions of dollars. They're one of the most legit in the world. And it's just a great way to learn day trading. Most day traders lose. And so you're probably going to lose here as well because most day traders lose. But it's a lot cheaper to lose here than it is to put up 5K and lose that like everybody else. And so again, if you want to check them out, here is the link. Fed will not change rates in September. I mean, this is neutral report. You know, like the market hasn't really reacted that much to this either. Like this is a pretty neutral report. We also have Chicago PMI later on this afternoon, guys. So we do have Chicago PMI today. So we got a lot of, we got a lot of data dropping today. And next week is really busy. Next week we have non-farm payrolls, non-farm employment change data, the prelim payroll numbers. Next week is payroll week, which is we get unemployment and payroll numbers. This was kind of a neutral reading, and if anything, it looks like the market might be interpreting this as a positive because inflation didn't get worse, right? That's what I'm assuming is the story here. Inflation didn't actually get worse. The market might be interpreting this as a positive. but we'll see. Next week's when the real tell happens. So next week we have the JOLTS report, the Fed minutes report, prelim payroll numbers, actual payroll numbers, and unemployment data with jobless claims also coming out. So we got a bunch of stuff next week. The market's also closed some of next week for the 4th of July. And so, yeah, it'll be a really interesting week next week, which will really give us some more insight into where the economy looks. Chicago PMI comes out at 945. Bitcoin. Where's Bitcoin at? We need QE. We don't need money printing. If Bitcoin is an inflation hedge like they say, it shouldn't need QE. You know, if anything, like the worse inflation gets, the more people might grow to crypto itself. So, like, I don't know. This shows that we don't want to see Fed will not cut rates. Yeah, I'm going to do another poll here. Let me know what you guys think. So it's an interesting report. So we're going to end this poll. Is today's core, hey, you okay? A good or bad thing for the economy? Good, bad. Hold on, baby. Here, wait, where are you going? Okay. All right, so I said, is today's core PCE report showing up neutral a good or bad thing for the economy? The Rubik's Cube Championship? No, dude. No, man. Honestly, yeah, no. Definitely not here for the Rubik's Cube Championship. No, my mother-in-law has a house here, so we try to travel here at least once a year. Bitcoin dumped to 3K. Yeah, I mean, and then it rebounded back up to 65K. I guess, like, if we look at Bitcoin right now under the eyes of that, let's take a look. So here's Bitcoin. Here's a weekly chart. Bitcoin. So 2020 happened, and Bitcoin spiked in 2020. So it does look like QE helps Bitcoin. But right now, I guess, I think it's also kind of independent, because right now, as an example here, you know, right now we have okay, right now we have a restrictive Fed, and Bitcoin broke lifetime highs, you know. It's a vitamin C shot my wife is giving me. This thing tastes like super sour. All right. Ugh. Sour. The aftertaste is good, but the actual taste is bad. Tesla at 200s. What John meant to say is he's in the Rubik's Cube Championship. Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm one of the top 3 Rubik's cubers in the world right now. All right. I'm better than them all, you know. I'm the greatest ever. Top 3 for sure in Rubik's cubers. Is that what they're called? I don't even know. I know how to solve a Rubik's cube, but I'm not good at it, you know. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm looking at the poll. So there goes the market start to flush down a little bit here. And again, this was a neutral report. 74% of people think it's good. 28, so it's 70-30 good or bad here, which is an interesting report. So 2.6%. At least it didn't go up, I think is the story here. At least inflation didn't get worse, right? Now, the market seems to be having an underwhelming reaction, although it's a pretty small range for PC. It's not the biggest range we've ever seen here for PCE data. You can see the SPY here on the left side. But yeah, look at the SPY dump here. It's at 547s, Tesla at 199s, Nvidia's at 125s though. So the question is, does Nvidia hold its gains? Bro, people on the internet are so weird. Like, listen, I banned this guy, but like, I don't know if maybe it's like an American thing. So like, listen, guys, here in the US, right? The only way to deal with trolls is to troll them back. You know, people trying to go deeper and act like I actually had a very pleasant childhood. Like my childhood was pretty good. Like my parents were both good parents. My mom and dad raised me well. You know, to say that me, like my whole like gimmick here, if you want to call it a gimmick, is I'm the top 3 greatest of all time ever in the world. That's obviously a joke. And what I'm really making fun of is I'm making fun of other YouTubers who claim that they're the greatest day trader of all time. They claim that they're the best trader in the world. They claim that they're the #1 trader of all time. Like, I'm making fun of them when I say top 3 greatest ever in the world, you know? Everybody wants to act like they're #1. I'm playing off of that and then just kind of trolling everybody with it. That's a huge part of my channel. Humor is a big part of my channel. But yeah, bringing up my childhood, like, you know, again, I had a good childhood. Maybe if I didn't, it would rub me the wrong way. But like my childhood was pretty good. People on the internet are freaking weird. You know, I question that guy's childhood because why so serious, brother? Why so serious, man? Nvidia needs to break back to 130. Yeah, I mean, I don't think a pullback in Nvidia is bad necessarily. I don't think it's horrible for Nvidia to dip a little bit. I don't want it to dip down to like 70, 80s. I think the biggest likelihood of a market crash is if Nvidia dumps to like $60, $70. I think if that happens, which might be not super probable, but if that happens, the rest of the market's going to follow it. And that is where we get a crash, kind of 2000-esque, where 2000 the market dumped. Yeah, I think that's what we see whenever, if we see Nvidia dump down to $60, that's the biggest chance of a market crash. Outside of that, you know, I think the market's going to be okay because AI is really that big technology, that big thing going on that's going to change the world, and already has changed the world a massive amount. But I think there's pros and cons to those big bull runs in tech. Again, 2000, I've said this over and over again, but in 2000 we had the internet, and the internet was that big technology. Fast forward 25 years to where we are now, the internet really was that big thing. We still had one of the longest bear markets in the last 50 years from it, from 2000, overvaluations from internet stocks. And so I'm cautious that I don't want to see another thing like that with Nvidia where we get a long-term bear market. But the way we avoid that at Nvidia price is for Nvidia to pull back or at least stagnate a little bit, go sideways for a little while. If it could hold a sideways trend, I think that's okay. But again, I might be wrong. Is it clipping out sometimes, guys? Let me see. Let me fix it. Yeah, no, this is my good mic. Let me know if this is better. There's a lot of options here. I'm trying to see which is the better option. I could always put it back like this. Is that better? Or do you guys want it? Is it better when it's closer? %fine. No difference? Okay, well then the mic's probably fine right here. We'll see if it continues to be okay. But let me know. Just yell at me if it doesn't work. Sometimes if I turn this way or this way, it probably sounds a little bit worse. Yeah. A little bit better, you know. But still not great. Gotta be allergies. Do you want to bring me an allergy medicine? Hey. Here, will you bring me an allergy medicine, actually? Alright. I don't know. It's either that or the stomach medicine. I feel less congested this morning, for sure. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, well, it's just right now. All right, guys. So again, we do have July is usually a positive month, right? I think June, July, and August are usually slower months. They're some of the slower months of history. If you look at the stock market and how it performs in the summer months, it makes sense, right? More people are traveling, they're on vacation, they're doing stuff. I'm sure a lot of people stayed up to watch the debates last night. So yeah, it's probably historically it's a neutral month, like a sideways slow month. But again, that's historically. Sometimes, you know, history doesn't always repeat itself, but it does rhyme, according to Mark Twain. I don't know. Turn it. I don't know. Why do you need to open it? Here, no, I'm good. Like, hey, look, that your mom has that thing right there, which is like a fan. Right, if you want to turn that on. Yeah, we'll just leave the door open. I'm good. It's not hot in here. John, how do you feel about Bronny and the Lakers? I mean, I'm okay with giving Bronny James a shot, bro. I'm okay with giving Bronny James a shot. I think, you know, there have been crazier things that happened in NBA. Everybody's bringing up his numbers, but his numbers on his college team, it was a different environment. I'm okay with giving him a shot, and I think if he doesn't perform well, you know, then he doesn't perform well. But I'm okay. People are acting like, oh, he's just LeBron James's son. You know, that's the only reason he's going to the NBA. Who cares? You know, if other teams, like LeBron James has done a lot for the NBA. I promise. He's been there like the poster boy of the NBA for 2 decades now. And I think he's done a lot to grow the sport. And so you got to give the man his, like, I'm okay with him having benefits of that, including his son going to the NBA and getting tested there. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Kobe looking down disappointed. Nah, man. Kobe took care of his kids too, just like, you know, LeBron. I don't think we can knock him for that. If I'm LeBron, I want my son to go to the NBA, at least try a shot. You know, he's not the tallest guy. I think his height is what kind of hurts him a little bit. If he was 6 inches, 7 inches taller, he'd be doing really, really well. But, you know, that's how it goes. Where did the home library go? I'm on vacation in Michigan right now. So every year we go to Michigan for a few weeks and then come home. So somebody's at my house though right now. My father-in-law is watching the house for me right now. So I'm okay with the Lakers fail. It's kind of like, oh no, not the Lakers. Like, it's kind of like the Yankees not doing great. Oh no, not the Yankees. Like, I'm all right. Let them get out of here, man. Yeah, I'm in Nike right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I could add some more to it. Yeah, August, the robo-taxi event for Tesla is massive. I think that's incredibly important, man. I think Tesla is that next big company that has, or not the next big company. I think Tesla is a great company right now. I think they're producing a lot of cars. They're high in revenue. Their margins are okay. But I think the future of driving is autonomous vehicles, right? I think self-driving vehicles is absolutely the future. And I think anybody looking at automobiles objectively will recognize that self-driving cars are the future, right? Maybe it's in a decade where we get full infrastructure built. Maybe it's in 2 years, but it's the future. Might be in 10 years, might be in 20, might be in 2. It's the future. Tesla's at the very front of that line in terms of the business that they're building up for that future, in my opinion. Now, maybe it's hydrogen cars, or maybe that's what happens. Maybe it's electric cars. But full self-driving cars are the future. And I think Tesla's on the front of that. And I think the robo-taxi event, a self-driving, fully autonomous vehicle, is that next step in that future, you know? So it's incredibly important for Tesla. It's very, very important that they stay on the front of that, and that they execute this next step in autonomous driving well. It's incredibly important that they do, because if they don't, that's going to put that future in doubt for a lot of people. But if they do, Tesla's poised to do really, really, really well. Really, really, really well. And so I think that's what I'm paying attention to. I'm in Tesla. I'm very green on my trade. We'll see what happens on the rest. I'll probably add a little bit more to it ahead of that event. But, you know, there's risks to that as well, because if the event underperforms or disappoints, then we got other problems, you know, so. No, I don't think SoFi is definitely not my largest position. Yeah. I want my son to go to the NBA based on his talent, not because of my name. Right, but he can get a shot based on your name, right? Like, okay, I got a son, Bronny. If I had a son like Bronny, you know, listen, if he goes to the NBA and underperforms, he's going to get cut. So it doesn't matter anyway. His skill is going to be the test. All right. It's okay for his dad to get his foot in the door. His skill is going to decide, though. You know, so like, I'm okay with his dad using his connections and getting Bronny James like a contract. And if he performs well, great. And if he doesn't, he's going to get kicked out. He's going to get cut. And that's okay. That's how it goes. But I'm okay with LeBron using his influence to get his foot in the door. I think that's fine. You know, if it was your son, you'd do the same. You know, and he's done a lot to grow the NBA, like I said, in that, you know, to begin with. And so I think it's justified as well. Any guesses on what we see in 8 from Tesla? Do we see the Robotaxi Cyber Cab? I hope it's this and that. Announcing FSD subscriptions being sold to other companies would be great. Everybody would, 100%. Yeah, but that's business. That's a business thing. So Fu says his son can go to the NBA, but come on, really, the Lakers? Yeah, but it's business, brother. That's business, man. Business is business, dude. So like, if LeBron spent a lot of his time at the Lakers, Bronny going there is going to boost ticket sales. That's a business thing. And I get that from a business perspective as well. And again, sometimes that happens. Like you see in baseball, you see 35, 37-year-olds getting called up to the majors, you know, to pitch, you know, their major league debut at 36, 37. They're doing that to get ticket sales, right? They're not doing that because nobody wants to invest in a 40-year-old pitcher. It's not going to last, right? But they're doing it because it's a great story. It's a great selling point, and they need ticket sales. It's understandable. Think Rookie of the Year, the movie, Rookie of the Year, same thing, right? They just want ticket sales. That's fine. Let them do it. That's baseball. You want to grow the sport, it should be a good thing, regardless of whether he fizzles out and doesn't do well in the NBA. It doesn't matter. Right, for sure, Garen. People act like it's the first time, dude. Like wealthy people have been using their influence to get their kids like benefits, and that's fine. If I was LeBron, I'm using my influence as well. I can't knock it. And again, if Bronny doesn't do well, he's gonna get cut, and that's okay. That's how it should go. I know he didn't. I know he was underwhelming in college. I understand. What did he have like? What did he average? Like 10 points a game or something small, 8 points a game, something like that. I get it, but I'm okay with him getting a shot. It doesn't affect everybody too much. I think people sometimes want to be upset. They want to find something to make them upset, and I think, you know, I think it's understandable. It's kind of like water's wet. Of course, LeBron's going to use his influence to get Bronny, his son, his son that he loves, like a better shot at basketball when he's been devoting his life to it. Of course he is. That's fine. Water's wet. Yeah, Michael Jordan to the White Sox. Yeah, for sure. Michael Jordan was a B-level baseball player. He was good. He wasn't great. He wasn't major league material. He wasn't bad. He wasn't like man. Who was the he wasn't like prime time. I can't think of his name right now. Prime time. Played both pro football and pro baseball. Was the first player to play a pro football game and a pro baseball game the same freaking day. Dion, right? Dion, same thing. They want ticket sales, but honestly though, Dion actually did that. So Dion was a great player in both. So he was actually justified, more justified than Jordan. Anyways, we see this flag here on Tesla. Here's a flag pattern. I don't know if I trust it, but we do have this flag pattern here. Yeah, it wasn't Jackson. It was Deion Sanders. This was prime time. Yeah, so PCE showed up higher than expected. We do have Chicago PMI and Michigan consumer sentiment data today. So both of these are really important releases. All right, we're getting a little bit too baseball chatty, I think, but we're getting a little bit too sports. I'll talk about sports all day here. All right. So I closed the old poll already. The new poll is today's core PCE showing 2.6% a good or bad thing for the economy? Basically, was today's PCE report good or bad? So far, the market has reacted negatively to this. Here's the SPY. It's down a little bit. It's still green on the day, though. It closed at 546. It's way up here, so it's green on the day still. Tesla's still very green. Underwhelming reaction there. Nvidia has contracted a little bit and pulled down some. It's at 124.60s now. Wait, what's happening to Relentless? Suing them for what? I never understood baseball. I always describe baseball as kind of like a dopamine detox, if you will. Like most of the time it's kind of boring unless you're really into like pitching and that the dynamics of pitching and all that stuff. Most of the time it's boring though. But then every few minutes you'll get something that really exciting happens, right? Where it'll be boring. Sometimes that excitement is right off the get-go and then you slow down a little bit. But then maybe one inning things get really hot and things heat up and they start hitting bombs and homers, all that cool stuff. That happens a lot of baseball, but it's not something that I think it helps stimulate your dopamine system a little bit better, or not stimulate, it helps regulate your dopamine system. Like constant excitement is not always good for your brain. You know, you got to slow it down a little bit and have some dull moments. And I think baseball does really well at that, where everything's not super excited all the time. Kind of like MMA is the same way, right? When you watch the UFC, some fights are just boring, nothing happens, but at least once a night, you're going to have a crazy thing happen that's going to get you excited. So it's good for your dopamine system. Uh, 50-50 scalping, they didn't. They're not financial advisors. You know this too. Fantasy Jiu-Jitsu on DraftKings. Is there Fantasy Jiu-Jitsu on DraftKings? Yeah. Again, it's one of the reasons, like, you'll see people like Atlas, you see all these people who, you know, what happens in the penny stock game is a nasty thing, right? Like, if you, and again, I'm going to tell everybody this so that you hopefully understand what I'm about to say, right? What happens in pitching, or what happens, I'm sorry, not in pitching. What happens in penny stocks is what you see a lot, and what a lot of people have been sued for in penny stocks is that, you know, the penny stock market as a whole, the landscape of penny stocks is very guru driven, right? Like you got people who made money 25 years ago in penny stocks trading newsletters. You used to get newsletters that would pump up penny stocks. If you could get those newsletters early, you could front load and ride the penny stocks up and sell and make a bunch of money, right? And so a lot of the penny stock gurus that you see today did just that. They made a bunch of money in basically mail letter or newsletter schemes where they rode newsletter pumps and penny stocks and sold them. But that loophole was closed. You can't really do that anymore, right? But a lot of the penny stock gurus that did that, they're now selling courses and mentorship programs on that nonsense, right? But the market has changed over the last 2.5 decades. The market's wildly different now than it was back then. So people selling a course based on those gains, which is what a lot of them are doing, doesn't make sense. You know, it just simply doesn't make sense. But a lot of them are selling courses. Millionaire students, I'm building schools overseas, guys. Like you hear all this nonsense that's just trying to talk you into like nonsense, right? Some will even say, hey, I don't trade anymore. I just like to teach. What a ridiculous freaking statement. So you're going to sell courses on day trading, penny stocks, but you don't like to trade currently. The only time you made money was 25 years ago, and you just like to teach. Never trust anybody that says that. That is one of the most ridiculous statements. Okay. But the whole market in penny stocks is full of that from a lot of different people. Relentless is cool. I like Relentless, right? Like Relentless is cool. He doesn't do this stuff, but like the whole market over there is full of that stuff. It's a dangerous game to play. A lot of guys are front loading into penny stocks, pumping those stocks up to their following, talking about how great, glorious those stocks are, which are really low float and manipulatable stocks. They're pumping them up to their following. They're front loading. They're buying 30 minutes before they pump them up to their following, riding the pump up after telling their following how great the stock is, and then unloading, causing a crash in that stock and causing half of the people or more usually to lose tons of money. You know, so they're causing their following to lose money, and they're taking advantage of the pumps that their following gives them, and then they're making 20 or 30K from it. And then they're using those gains to show you, hey, look how much money I made. You can do this too if you just buy my penny stock course, right? But you're not going to be able to do that because you're not going to be able to influence stocks in the same way. And it's a sketchy kind of semi-illegal thing to do to begin with. And so a lot of the penny stock markets are doing that, unfortunately. And yeah, again, it's one of the reasons I created this channel like I did. You know, you got a lot of people telling everybody how great they are. I'm almost always telling people not to copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Nobody's going to win a lawsuit suing me. because again, I've got loads and loads of proof that I tell people not to copy me at all. I don't even say I'm a good trader. And I would rather keep it that way for a reason. Like, we had some guy on the stream earlier who really tried to get deep with it and said that I had such little confidence in myself, and that I'm telling people I'm hiding behind my top 3 quotes or whatever. He doesn't understand, right? Like, he's just trying to poke and get me to react. But the real reason I say that stuff is so you guys understand I'm not liable for anything you do. Most day traders lose. Even when I promote sponsors, I tell people most people are going to lose here as well, right? And I would rather be honest with people in that way and make money on the back end and be honest about my money making on the back end. Of course, I'm making money on the back end, than wildly mislead trading and cause people to lose money. You know, and if I was watching somebody else, I would much rather watch somebody that was real about it, that told me he made money, that told me that most day traders lose and was completely honest about it, versus somebody that's just telling you how great they are, telling you how much money they're making all the time and all this different stuff. I just think overall, y'all should want to follow the real people about it. And I think that's the way to be real about it. I think most day traders lose. It's just it's a reasonable expectation for trading, and you have to understand that. But there's a lot of marketing that tells people it's easy and that you can take $1,000 and turn it into $100K if you just buy their course or mentorship program or service or use their strategy. And it's almost all a fugazi, you know. Yeah, definitely top 3 disclaiming giving traders in the world right now. You're right, exactly, Kevin. That happens a lot, dude. Yeah, I'm not going to be specific about names. I'm really not trying to start drama. This is just how it really freaking goes, you know. Yeah, well, it's such a hard thing. And somebody said it's better why you don't sell courses. It's such a tough thing, man, because like, you know, most people are going to lose. It doesn't matter what course you take, who you follow, who your mentor is, you're still about to lose, most likely. Why? Because people are different. I trade different than you. You might trade different than somebody else. Everybody's different. We have our own personalities, our own weaknesses and strengths. And some people are going to do certain things better than others. I'm going to do certain things better or worse than others, right? And so, yeah, I mean, that's normal. And so what I'm saying is, like, I can't carbon copy somebody else's strategy and expect it to work for my personality. I got to figure out what works for my personality. And in that regard, courses don't work because you're carbon copying somebody else's strategy. That might not work as well. I mean, you can still look at courses on basic principles and concepts in trading, but like, you got to figure out your own niche of trading, figure out your own style, whether that's day trading, swing trading, scalping, investing, long-term, whatever you want to look at. You got to figure out what works the best for you. What works for best for me is scalping day trades, very short term, using momentum, ranges, stuff like that. That's what works for me, or what I like to use. But again, I'm not even claiming to be profitable. What others might like to use, and outside of that, what I'm really the best at is investing and swing trading. You know, very high accuracy in those trades, up thousands on the year doing those, and that's the easiest gains you get. Your angle is being honest or appearing to be honest. I mean, I don't think I'm appearing to be honest. I think I try to be as honest as I can. Of course, I always tell people the same thing though. Like, look, I'm here to make money. I'm not spending hours and hours of my morning at 5 o'clock in the morning every day out of the kindness of my heart, and nobody else would either, right? And that's not a reasonable expectation for somebody doing what I'm doing here. I'm certainly here to make money, and I certainly make money on the back end of things through sponsors and affiliates and stuff like that, which everybody on YouTube basically does, you know. But I want to sleep good at night. If I told somebody, if I made it seem like day trading was easier than it was, and I caused a bunch of people to lose money, I wouldn't like that. Like, I would feel bad, I guess is the easiest way to put it. And so I'd rather just be real with people, telling them most day traders are going to lose and only a small percentage make money. And I think that's the right way to be. I can still make money doing it, but I'm being honest with people while I do it. And I think that's the easiest way for me to do this, you know. Yeah, I'm not one of those people that buys courses either, you know. I'm not saying you could Google and find a lot of these gurus courses available for free on the internet somewhere, you know. I would never recommend you guys do that, you know, and find a lot of these courses that cost thousands of dollars available for free because it's the freaking internet, guys. You know, would never recommend y'all do that. Just be careful. You know? But yeah. With that said, SPY bouncing back up a little bit. Nike's still low. I'm wondering whether I want to add more to Nike. I don't think I do. Tesla flat. Nvidia's kind of flat also. It's much better to be real with people. Right. It's a better credibility boosting thing for my channel too, you know. Years. Courses can help if they're free, but yeah, it takes years to really understand. It depends. It doesn't take years to understand day trading. It takes a couple months, but developing a good system and skill set takes longer. Dave is right below me, Sal. Hey, thank you, Lolo. I appreciate it. Keep hitting those corners, you know. That's an old Dr. Dre joke, you know. Nvidia at 125s. That came across wrong. I didn't mean it in that way. I was referencing hitting the corners in those Lolo girl, like the Dr. Dre song. But in hindsight, it came across wrong. So my apologies for that. I didn't mean it in a negative connotation. So sorry about that. Was Nike earnings bad? Yeah, Nike earnings dumped the stock. Although it did get maintained an outperform rating at like 120 valuation from some companies as well. So Nike's down a lot. I'm in Nike. You can see I'm down $200 here. I might add a little bit more to this. It's down enough where I'm okay with the. All right, so we're in 60 shares. What setups do you look for? I usually try to get like ranges. What's been working a lot for me lately, day trading wise, is you know, in day trading right now, a lot of the time ahead of big economic reports, you get choppy action. It didn't work so well today, but it's not going to work on every report. It's just not a reasonable expectation for me. Like, I can't expect to make money and do this every time I try it. But what's been working a lot for me over the last few months is identifying choppy sideways ranges ahead of big economic reports. Let me draw this so it's easier to understand. So, like ahead of FOMC meetings, a lot of the time the range will be like this, leading up to the FOMC meeting, and then whatever happens, either we go to something like that or we rip up like that. You know, we usually stay sideways leading up to this. And so the way I've been attacking this range is I wait for big days like FOMC meetings, CPI inflation reports, the Fed minutes report, big tech earnings, stuff like that. And I start attacking choppy behavior. So I short the top, I buy the bottom down here, I cover at the top, I buy the bottom, short the top, do whatever I want in that way. And then, you know, just attack that neutral rectangular range leading up to big economic reports. Again, you got to be patient with this system. It's not always going to work. Everybody's kind of different there. But yeah, that's something I've been doing a lot lately. And it's been working fairly well. Nvidia had their shareholder meeting this past Wednesday. How was that meeting? I heard people were underwhelmed by it. It hasn't really moved up that much, so I'm assuming people were underwhelmed by it. Yeah, Tesla moving slow now too. Kind of a choppy sideways range. All right, so Tesla's still dipping down, Nvidia's still dipping down a little bit. I'm just kind of waiting here. I'll probably wait. We'll start day trading some too. But as always, guys, not an investment professional. Do not copy me. We do have Chicago PMI data coming out in about 23 minutes. $9:45 is when the Chicago PMI data comes out. All right, so we're gonna get ready to day trade here, Chad. Give me a second. Yeah, GDP yesterday was slightly better than expected. PCE data today was neutral, completely neutral. And we kind of got it right again. If you heard me prior to this report, I told you guys I thought the PCE data would come in as expected or slightly higher. So what I actually said almost verbatim was I think year over year core PCE data will come in at 2.6 or 2.7%, and we showed up at 2.6%. So as expected. Yeah, and I think that's I think the market is iffy about it because I think we need to see gains in inflation, not actual gains. We need to see progress in inflation coming down. Are we lagging up a little bit? Let me know if we are. We shouldn't be, but. When's the next rate decision to be made? Late July. So we got about a month. Almost exactly a month. Like a month and 2 days. That's when the next FOMC meeting happens. The next FOMC report. So we actually have what's called the FOMC minutes report. It drops next week on Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. All right, we got Chicago PMI in about 25 minutes now. 25 minutes. GDP, yeah. So again, next week's a busier week. So if you guys didn't know, so again, if you haven't already, check out Apex. We're gonna be day trading on Apex today. Quant Tower too. I think I downloaded it yesterday. Yep. So again, if you haven't already, check it out, Apex. If you want to day trade with me, you can day trade essentially the SPY price action, essentially the QQQ price action in futures, no PDT rule. Apex is one of the most legit ways to try out futures, get your feet wet without risking very much. For the time being, you get a 25K challenge where if you pass it, you get 25K in funding. You got to make 1,500 without losing 1,500 first. If you pass it, you get 25K in funding with a 90% split. If you lose, you're out 40 bucks. Same thing with the top one. Okay, so I downloaded the new Quant Tower. I just want to exit out of all of that stuff. But yeah, if you pass it right now, you get tons of funding with a 90% split. You can get between 250, 300K, 150K in funding. If you pass those, you get a 90% split once you're funded. If you fail, you're out 40 bucks right now. It's like 35 or 40 bucks. And so again, if you use my link, you'll get the big discount. You just got to use my coupon code BT. Again, they are a sponsor of mine. They pay me money. I'm biased because they pay me money, you know. Always do your own research, trade responsibly. Understand CFTC 4.41 hypothetical or simulated performance does have limitations, guys. So you do have limitations. Understand these rules. Understand I do trade off stream. You're not going to see all my trades. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not even claiming to be a good trader. My channel is called Beginner Trading. We're just a resource. But understand all this stuff. But again, if you want to check them out, here is the link. Use coupon code BT. We'll get you the max discount. Yeah, you can do another one right now, and resets Aqua are only $35 universally. Or universally right now is 35 bucks. So it's pretty cheap. CGC, the worst stock ever. It's a cannabis play where cannabis fizzled out. Let's get Quant Tower up. All right, guys, so I'm getting logged in on Quant Tower here. And there's two different options on Quant Tower, or on Apex. One of them is Tradeovate, which is a web-based. The other one is Quant Tower or Ninja Trader, which is Rhythmic. So if you want a software to download, get Rhythmic. If you want a web-based, use You know anything about crypto? Yeah, we got a crypto channel. Stay above 650, what? Nvidia's starting to rise back here. Nvidia back up to 125. It's probably a big psychological level. All right, there we go. We're in Rhythmic right now. So again, here's Rhythmic. Chicago PMI drops very soon. We got 4 minutes until the opening bell. Try to make sure I got this right account. All right, we there we go. Let me know if we got any lag. Hopefully we don't. All right. All right, so this is again, this is a 250K challenge account. You can kind of see we're up about $180, $200 here. Take a little bit off. 2/3 off. Try to build up this cushion ahead of the opening bell. And this is the futures market, guys. So you can see it's very similar to day trading stocks. Same patterns. We got a triple bottom right here. And so I'm a little bit less confident in it breaking down now that it's triple bottomed here pretty evenly too. A lot of it depends on like Nvidia though. So we've taken profit here. If it doesn't work, we can just cut it and not worry about it. The market's about to open right now too. Yeah, this is just the quant tower sounds. All right, we got 30 seconds of the open. I want to see if we bounce leading up to that. All right, we'll just cut this trade. So yeah, we're gonna get out since it's the opening bell. We'll see what we're up. Yeah, so currently on those trades, we are up 270. All right, so look at Nike falling down even more. All right, there's the opening bell. You know, we added to Nike, but I'm not going to risk that much. I will lower my position if it continues to fall. I'm hoping it doesn't. We're down like a couple $100 on it. All right, there's the NASDAQ falling. So good thing we got out of that position here. Again, we're playing with the challenge account. We'll switch to our actual funded account soon. The opening is usually meant for like fake outs. So we can take really large size here and see if we get faked out. Look at Tesla's shoot up. Nike's back up a little bit too. Look at Nike's coming back. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. How you doing? Yeah, they see her. Here, I'll show her. This is sassy. Hey, baby. You want to hang out with me, sassy? Thank you, baby. All right. Yeah. A lot. All right, guys. Nike has bounced up a heavy amount too. Yeah, so we're out. We are up about this much on this trade, so it's not. It could be worse. Nike is bouncing back. It's at 79s, almost 79s. Tesla at 200s. So Tesla went back. Nike did bounce back, so that's what I want to see. Yeah, Nike feels like an overreaction, but we'll see what happens. Who knows? I'm in Michigan right now. Apple coming back up, is it really? Adobe was one of the surprising ones. I thought AI would completely replace Adobe, but Adobe adopted it really well, and now they're using it to benefit them as well. Adobe up to 550s. Nike has bounced a lot back too. It's up to 79s. We'll see if it continues. All right, so Nike back over 79s for a split second. It depends on whether we think Nvidia is going to bounce. Nvidia is at 124s right now, 124s. It's down a lot, but it's also testing the previous closing price, you know? So, like, I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah, it's nice here. I like it. All right, we're short. Take some size short here. We got a bunch of these accounts, so I'm not really super used to trading the 250 one, which is what this is. But I don't mind shorting. See if we get a rejection, and if we don't, it's all good. What? Why did it liquidate me here? This is a 250K account. Is the trailing drawdown too strict? See, honestly, this is why, honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't like the 250K ones. The trailing drawdown's way too strict. If the profit target is, it's a 2-to-1 ratio, so it's not terrible, but man, let me find one that, I like the 50K ones, to be honest. And I should have another one here. Find it. That trailing drawdown is what gets you, though, unfortunately. So we get trader bait out. I got a couple other 250K challenges, but I really don't like those. The trailing drawdown, if I was gonna buy an account, if I'm being honest, like the best, because like you don't want that once you're funded either. I would say the the 50 to 100K one have the best mix of a ton of buying power if you need it, but minus the super restrictive trailing drawdown. Because the 250 one, being at $6,500, it's just too difficult. I think the only way to really do it safely is to take one big trade and hope you hit it, and then do that. And then once you're funded to scale down, I think is probably the move. But I don't know, man. I think it can get iffy. All right. Anyways, back to trading our regular trade bait account. Take one short position. We're kind of back and forth flat here on this one. I'm going to see if it breaks down a little bit more. All right, so Chicago PMI comes out in about 10 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, Chuck. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I know people probably see me take these challenges with these big 250K account. They're like, man, this dude just lost, you know, whatever it was. But you gotta understand, that's not real money. That's just a challenge account. All right, we're gonna get out here. We're up $100. Again, Chicago PMI is dropping very soon here, very soon. I don't want to be too overzealous with like Nike either, you know. What are we looking for in PMI? Ooh, I don't know, brother. I think it could be good or bad. It's hard to tell with PMI. PMI is definitely more ambiguous predicting. More ambiguous in terms of reactions to the data, I would say. A little bit more hard to tell. Expectations are 39.7 for Chicago PMI, 39.7. So we'll see. All right, so we're up 155 in this one so far, 155. That's how I trade challenge accounts too. I think that's how most people, like, you got to just kind of swing for it in the challenge account, right? Once I'm funded, I'm much different. Like, if you ever see the correlation, or if you ever seen the differences between me trading like an actual one and the challenge accounts, I'm just kind of swinging for the fences with the challenge accounts, because to me it's $40. If I lose, I'm out $40. It's not the end of the world. But the funded one's much different. I've invested a lot more time and energy into the funded ones, and so I just traded different. Kind of like even here. Is it possible for a stock to do absolutely nothing but go down? Yes. I mean, not absolutely nothing is, it depends on your definition of that. Like, to only go down, only have red candles? No, not really. I mean, it's not impossible. It's just improbable. You know, but yeah, if you mean like only trend down long term, sure. Penny stocks. Look at the penny stock market. Yeah, it's a low month. Everybody's traveling on vacation. My views are lower this month as well. And that's okay, because everybody's just traveling and on vacation right now. So nobody's really sitting here trading the stock market. Even the reaction to PCE was pretty light. Next week's an even slower week. It's a holiday week. We got more data next week. So we have like payrolls, unemployment. We got payrolls. Next week's actually very busy, and we'll probably have some good views, but the market's closed some. And yeah, like next week we have, I think even the beginning of next week is busy. Let me find it. All right, guys, we got like a minute left until this data comes out. Yeah, so next. So yeah, next week we got ISM manufacturing PMI Monday, the JOLTS report, and a Powell speech on Tuesday. The Fed minutes report, ISM services, PMI data, jobless claims, and the prelim payroll numbers July 3rd on Wednesday. Markets closed July 4th, and Friday we have payrolls and unemployment data dropping in the morning. So it's a very busy week next week. Next week we essentially got busy stuff all week. A lot of stuff going on all week next week. So, all right, guys, we got about 40 seconds left. Markets completely closed the 4th, and it's a half day on the 3rd as well. So what's interesting is, like, the Fed minutes report comes out at 2. It's a half day that day also. Yeah, the flag pattern did work a little bit. It kind of broke the flag and then ripped, but that's all right. All right, here we go. Here's this report. And here's the release. It showed up at 47, way higher than expected for Chicago PMI. Much stronger manufacturing for Chicago PMI than expected. 47.4 versus 39.7. Last time was 35, so more strength in manufacturing for sure is what this report shows. I think the market likes it as well because it's ripping up, but much higher than expected here for Chicago PMI. Much more manufacturing strength than expected. Again, 47s versus anywhere between 39.5 and 40 expectation. Put this up. So yeah, here's the report there. I don't know. It depends on which Michigan sentiment data is coming out. All right, good morning. Hey, Cap. Hey, buddy. Oh, all right, go outside, bud. All right, sorry. Go outside. Yeah, go see. There you go. Is it a bad report or good? So this signal more strength in manufacturing is what this signals. So this signal more strength in manufacturing. Tesla just broke highs as well. I'm still kind of keeping an eye on Nike, but I'm in Tesla, so that's nice. You know, I think Adobe's going to come back down some. Also, guys, if you haven't already checked out Apex, again, if you want to day trade in futures, this is what you see me on today. It's very similar to day trading stocks. This is basically the QQQ price action. I can day trade it live in futures. There's no PDT rule. Patterns are very similar to blue chip stock patterns, but it's the single best way to get around the PDT rule. If you're in the beginning of your trading career, do not risk thousands of dollars trying to day trade and look cool in the markets. Most day traders lose. You're probably going to lose no matter where you go. And so when you're learning, try a funded account program. They give you a demo. They test your skill with the demo account first. If you pass the test with the demo, then they fund you between 25K up to 300K with a 90% split. But if you lose, the base one is 40 bucks. The 250, 300K and 150K is only 40 bucks as well. I'd get the 150K, to be honest. I think that has the best of both worlds, high buying power, but less of a trailing drawdown. That's the one that makes the most sense for me. But remember, Apex has paid out hundreds of millions of dollars. They're one of the most legit in the world. It really is the best way to learn day trading. And again, I'll put this link up if you want to check them out. Again, I appreciate the love. You got to use my coupon code BT if you want to get the max discount. And I'm probably going to go ahead and get out of here. Let me see. I think there's one more thing to cover. All right, guys, look at this. Market started to break highs. Yeah, I'm in Nike right now. I'm probably just going to let it chill. I might add to it if it drops more. I don't mind. I think it's going to be green no matter what. Eventually, I just got to wait. So again, guys, the big story of this week is that here, so I'm going to take a risk in this account. The big story this week is GDP data showed up higher than expected. So stronger GDP, more economic growth than expected here. It's still a little light, but it was better than expected. So that's the first news that came out. That came out Thursday. Today we had the PCE inflation report. The PCE inflation report. It's actually what the Fed says is the most important inflation report versus like CPI or PPI or something like that. And the reason it's more important is because it's more realistic to what people are actually seeing in terms of reflections and price. Core PCE is the most important one, and it basically came out as expected. It came out at 2.6% today versus 2.6% expected, and the month-over-month reading was as expected as well. So far, the market, if we look at something like the QQQ here, the Q has reacted initially negative, but then started to bounce back. So we'll see where it goes today. You know, of course, if you look at markets, the Q, the SPY, they're all pretty close to lifetime highs. And the question is, when are we going to start going down? The implications of this report are because of when the Fed is going to cut rates. A lot of people say that we should cut rates early, especially pressure from lending, but inflation has spiraled out of control and inflation doesn't really go back down. And so I don't think it's important to cut rates right now. I think it's really important to make inflation the number one priority, and the Fed keeps interest rates high to discourage that inflation. And so I think it's the same here. We're going to switch. This is a challenge account. I think it's the same here. I think we need to keep inflation under control. We need to keep interest rates high. We can't fall to pressure from lending. We still have some economic growth. Payroll numbers are good. And later next week, we'll see what those numbers show. But let me know in the chat right now what you think. Do you think we should start cutting rates to kind of combat economic weakness? Or do you think we should really make inflation the priority? Let me know live in chat right now. And with that said, I'm going to get out of here, guys. So y'all be good. Y'all be safe. Again, we'll see if we get funded. This is a funded account, or this is a challenge account. So I got to make 3K in profit in this one as well. We're keeping our actual funded trades a little bit light. But yeah, we got to make 3K in profit without losing. I think it's $2,500 on this account. Here, I'm gonna mute the music for a second here as well. I'm gonna mute the music for a second here as well. It's closed July 4th, and Friday we have payrolls and unemployment data dropping in the morning. So it's a very busy week. All right, guys, look at this. Market started to break highs. Yeah, I'm in Nike right now. I'm probably just gonna let it chill. I might add to it if it drops more. I don't mind. I think it's gonna be green no matter what. Eventually, I just gotta wait. Thursday. Today we had the PCE inflation report. Stronger GDP, more economic. And guys, the big story of this week is that eventually I just gotta wait. So again, guys, the big story of this week is that I think it's gonna be green no matter what. Eventually, I just gotta wait. So again, guys, the big story of this week is that here, so I'm gonna take a risk in this account here. It's still a 2.6% today. The big story this week is GDP data showed up higher than expected. So stronger GDP, more economic growth than expected here. It's still a little light, but it was better than expected. So that's the first news that came out. That came out Thursday. Today we had the PCE inflation report. The PCE inflation report, it's actually what the Fed says is the most important inflation report versus like CPI or PPI or something like that. And the reason it's more important is because it's more realistic to what people are actually seeing in terms of reflections. And oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to edit a clip here. I thought that I muted it so that you couldn't hear the background. I'm trying to clip the PCE thing to make a short. And so my mistake. I accidentally muted the mic itself, and I didn't actually mute the report. So my bad, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all be good. I'll see you guys later.